Okay, so today we're diving deep into something pretty amazing. It's called the Nirvana Shatakam.
Hmm.
Sometimes called the Atma Shatakam,
Yeah,
which basically just means 6 verses, right?
that's right. Yeah.
By this incredible uh, Indian philosopher Adi Shankaracharya. And you've brought some excerpts for us to look at.
That's right. From Nirvana Shatakam in Sanskrit, English with translation, meaning, and notes.
Okay, perfect. So this is all about self-realization and liberation, and we're going to go verse by verse
Sounds good.
and see what kind of wisdom we can unpack.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, me too. So what's fascinating is that Shankaracharya, he doesn't mess around.
No, she doesn't.
Like, he goes straight to the heart of the matter.
First verse right into it.
Yeah. So hit us with verse 1. Like, what's the opening statement here
Yeah.
in this exploration of the self?
Well, it starts with a series of negations, almost like he's stripping away layers of what we think we are, he says. Neither am I the mind, nor intelligence or ego. Neither am I the organs of hearing, ears, nor that of tasting, tongue, smelling, nose, or seeing eyes. Neither am I the sky, nor the earth, neither the fire, nor the air. I am Shiva, the supreme auspiciousness of the nature of consciousness bliss. I am Shiva, the auspiciousness.
Wow. It's a pretty powerful statement right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying, forget everything you think you know about yourself, like your body, your senses,
Yeah.
even your thoughts and ego. It's like none of that is the real you.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he's getting at. That I there represents the Atman, the true self.
Got it.
And what I think is really crucial here is that he doesn't just say what the Atman isn't. He points to what it is, Shiva. But now in this context, that doesn't mean the god Shiva, but rather that pure auspiciousness, that ultimate reality, Brahman.
So right away, it's like we're challenged to look beyond the surface, right?
Right.
Beyond those kind of superficial ways that we identify ourselves,
Yeah.
pointing toward something deeper. And what I find really interesting is how he specifically calls out the mind, like the manas, the thinking, the buddhi, deciding, chitta, memory, ahankara, the ego. That's like he's saying even those things, those thoughts, those mental processes, as powerful as they seem, they're not the ultimate truth.
And that, connects so beautifully to a core message in the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Remember when Krishna tells Arjuna that actions are performed by the body and mind, but it's that delusion that makes us think that we are the doer.
Right.
It's that mistaken sense of agency
Yeah.
that Shankaracharya is dismantling here.
So verse 1 is like setting the stage,
Yeah.
right? Clearing away those misconceptions.
Yeah.
To really make room for this exploration of the self. What about verse 2? Does he kind of build on this foundation?
No, he does. Yeah, verse 2 goes even deeper. And he negates the identification with the very life force that animates us. He says, neither am I the vital breath, nor the 5 vital air. Neither am I the 7 ingredients of the bottle, or the 5 sheaths of the body. Neither am I the organ of speech, nor the organs for holding, hand, movement, feet, or excretion. I am the ever-pure, blissful consciousness. I am Shiva. I am Shiva. The ever-pure, blissful consciousness. And it's really like peeling away even more layers
Yeah.
of what we mistakenly cling to as me.
This is where it gets really interesting for me. With those 5 vital airs and 5 sheaths.
Okay.
Break those down for us. What's he getting at here?
Well, so think of it like this.
Oh.
The 5 vital airs, the prana, vyana, apana, samana, udana,
Okay.
they're like subtle energies that
Okay.
govern everything from breathing to digestion to even our thoughts.
Wow.
Essential, right, for our functioning.
Yeah.
But Shankaracharya is saying that even they are not the core of our being. They're instruments powered by something much deeper. And then you've got the 5 sheaths, which are like these layers of our existence.
Okay, I'm picturing like those Russian dolls, right?
Yeah.
Nested inside one another.
Yeah.
Give us the rundown of these sheaths. How do
Yeah.
they fit into this whole idea of the self?
Okay, so the outermost sheath, the Annamaya Kosha, is our physical body,
Oh.
literally made of food.
Right.
Then you have the Pranamaya Kosha, that's the energy sheath,
Okay.
governs our breath, our actions. And then next is the Manamaya Kosha, that's the mental sheath,
Okay.
where our thoughts and senses reside. Deeper still is the Vijnanamaya Kosha, the wisdom sheath,
Okay.
that governs our intellect and discrimination.
So it's getting more and more subtle
Here it is,
as
yeah.
we move inwards.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then finally, the innermost sheath is the Anandamaya Kosha,
Ooh, the bliss sheath.
the bliss sheath.
Okay. So it's like we're going on this journey inward, right?
You are.
Peeling away these layers of identification to really get to that heart of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
But even the bliss sheath, as wonderful as it sounds,
Sure.
it's not the final destination.
Not quite, no.
Right.
It's not the end.
Okay.
Shankaracharya reminds us that even bliss, as we experience it in this limited state, is still dependent on the Atman.
Okay.
That pure consciousness that shines through all of those layers.
Yeah.
He's guiding us towards this state of being that's beyond all of these limitations, beyond even the subtlest experience of bliss.
So 2 verses in, and we've already gone beyond like our physical body, our senses, our breath, even our thoughts and subtlest experiences.
Yeah.
It's pretty radical
It is.
to kind of dismantle all that stuff that we usually identify with. Where does he take us from here?
Well, in verse 3, he tackles the realm of emotions,
Okay.
which often feels like the very core of our being.
Right.
But
Yeah.
even here, he encourages us to have a profound shift in perspective.
All right, let's hear it. How does he tackle this whole emotional landscape?
Okay, so verse 3 reads, "Neither do I have hatred, nor attachment, neither greed nor infatuation. Neither do I have passion or feelings of envy and jealousy. I am not within the bounds of dharma, righteousness, artha, wealth, kama, desire, and moksha, liberation, the 4 purusarthas of life. I am Shiva, the supreme auspiciousness of the nature of consciousness, bliss. I am Shiva, the auspiciousness."
Okay, he's really going for the jugular here.
Yeah.
These are the things that drive so much of our lives, right? Love, hate, desire, fear, jealousy. And he's saying they're not who we truly are.
Precisely. Those emotions, as powerful as they feel, belong to the mind.
Okay.
That manomaya kosha that we were just talking about.
Right.
Part of the play of the jiva, the individual self, but not the eternal Atman.
What I find mind-blowing is that he even negates the 4 purusharthas, the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, like the goals of human life.
Yeah.
It's like he's saying even those things, the pursuit of righteousness, wealth, pleasure, even liberation, are ultimately transcended when we realize our true nature.
Yeah. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, what Shankaracharya is highlighting is that true liberation isn't about achieving some external state
Okay.
or acquiring something new.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing what's already there. That pure consciousness bliss that is our essence.
So 3 verses in, and we've been stripped bare, so to speak. Not our body, our senses, our breath, our thoughts, our emotions, even our most cherished goals and aspirations. It's kind of liberating and a little bit terrifying.
It can be.
Right.
It definitely can be a challenging process to confront these deep-seated identifications that we have.
Right.
But what's amazing is that Shankaracharya, he doesn't leave us hanging in this void of negation. He keeps pointing us back to that ultimate reality, that Shiva, which is pure auspiciousness, pure being. And as we'll see in the next verse, he takes this explorer even further and challenges our notions of action and consequence.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. Bring on verse 4. Let's see where he takes us next.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the Nirvana Shatakam. It's exciting to continue this exploration with you.
Yeah, last time we left off with Shankaracharya, really kind of stripping away layer after layer of what we consider self.
Yeah.
He challenged us to look beyond our identification with our body, our senses, breath, thoughts, emotions, even those big life goals, the purusharthas.
Right.
And it's like he's really clearing the ground to reveal something much, much deeper.
Yeah, absolutely.
So where do we go from here? What's next in this journey of self-discovery?
Well, in verse 4, Shankaracharya tackles a concept that's pretty central to many spiritual traditions, and that's the idea of actions and their consequences.
That kind of stuff.
Neither am I bound by merits nor sins, neither by worldly joys nor by sorrows. Neither am I bound by sacred hymns nor by sacred places, neither by sacred scriptures nor by sacrifices. I am neither enjoyment, experience, nor an object to be enjoyed, experience, nor the enjoyer, experiencer. I am Shiva, the supreme auspiciousness of the nature of consciousness bliss. I am Shiva, the auspiciousness.
Whoa, he's not messing around. It's like all those things we strive for. Good deeds, happiness, spiritual practices, even the things we try to avoid, like sin and sorrow.
Yeah.
None of it touches the true self.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating here is that he's not, advocating for abandoning morality or living a reckless life.
Okay.
He's pointing to a reality that transcends those dualities of good and bad, reward and punishment. He's saying that Atman, that pure consciousness, is inherently pure and untouched by those actions of the jiva, that individual self.
It's a mind-bending concept, but I think I'm starting to get it.
Yeah.
And it's like that sense of I that experiences the pleasure and pain,
Yeah.
accumulates those merits and demerits, that's not the ultimate reality.
Right.
That's the jiva, right?
It is, yeah.
Caught up in that whole world of duality.
Caught up in that world of duality, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. And that's why he emphasizes, I am neither enjoyment experience nor an object to be enjoyed experienced, nor the enjoyer experiencer.
Yeah.
He's pointing us beyond those roles that we usually play.
Right.
The one who seeks pleasure, avoids pain, and experiences the world through the senses.
So verse 4 is like this radical shift in perspective,
It is.
urging us to detach from those karmic labels that we attach to ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? The good guy, bad guy, successful, failure. It's kind of liberating in a way, but it also raises a lot of questions. Like if we're not defined by those actions and their consequences, then what motivates us to act in a righteous way? What's the point of striving for anything?
Those are great questions, and
Right.
questions that Shankaracharya addresses in his other works.
Okay.
But within the context of the Nirvana Shatakam, the focus is really on just revealing the true nature of the self,
Okay.
which is beyond that realm of action and consequence.
All right. So we've stripped away our physical and mental identities,
Mhm.
our emotional attachments, even our karmic baggage. Where do we go from here? What else is there to negate?
Well, in verse 5, Shankaracharya takes aim at those identities that we often hold most dear, and those are our social roles in our relationships.
Okay.
He says, neither am I bound by death and its fear, nor by the rules of caste and its distinctions. Neither do I have father, mother, nor do I have birth. Neither do I have relations nor friends, neither spiritual teacher nor disciple. I am Shiva, the supreme auspiciousness of the nature of consciousness bliss. I am Shiva, the auspiciousness.
Wow. He's really not pulling any punches.
No.
It's like he's saying even those deep bonds that we have with family and friends, those roles we play in society, even the fear of death, none of that defines the true self.
Right, and remember those 5 sheaths we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, the identities that he negates in this verse, they're all associated with those sheaths.
Yes.
They're part of that layered existence of the jiva.
Right.
Death, for example, is associated with the physical sheath,
Okay.
connects with the social and cultural layers, and family relationships with those emotional and mental sheaths.
So he's not saying we should like abandon our loved ones,
No.
reject our social responsibilities.
Yeah. Oh,
He's just pointing to a reality that kind of transcends those roles and relationships.
Exactly, yeah. The Atman, that pure consciousness, isn't bound by birth or death, caste or creed, family ties, social expectations. It's the unchanging witness that observes the play of life from this place of pure awareness.
This raises a question for me, like, if the true self is beyond these social constructs, then how do we reconcile that with the importance of like relationships and our roles in the world?
Mhm.
It's like, if I am not my mother, my father, my friend, my teacher, my student, then who am I in relation to all these people that I love and interact with?
That's such a profound question.
Right.
And one that many spiritual seekers grapple with.
Yeah.
You know, what Shankaracharya is pointing to is a shift in identification. We can still love and cherish our families, fulfill our social duties, engage in those meaningful relationships, but we do it from a place of understanding that our true identity is not limited to those roles.
So it's like acting in the world, but without being attached to the roles that we play.
Exactly.
We can be a loving parent, a supportive friend, a responsible citizen, but we do so without those identities, like defining our core being.
Exactly. And that brings us to the culmination of this journey of negation, the final verse of the Nirvana Shatakam. And here, Shankaracharya so beautifully summarizes the nature of the liberated state.
Okay, let's hear it. What's the grand finale of this exploration into the self?
Verse 6 reads, I am unconditioned and so free from all attributes. I am formless, I am all-pervading, I am beyond the organs, I am ever the same. There is neither bondage nor liberation for me. I am the supreme auspiciousness of the nature of consciousness bliss. I am Shiva, the auspiciousness.
Wow, it's like a symphony of liberation.
Yeah.
He's declaring the Atman to be free from all those limitations. Unconditioned, formless, all-pervading, unchanging. It's a pretty profound statement of what we truly are beneath all those layers that he's kind of peeled away in those previous verses.
And what's particularly striking is that he says, there is neither bondage nor liberation for me.
Right.
This goes back to that idea we touched upon earlier, that liberation isn't about achieving something new,
Okay.
but rather realizing what's already true. The Atman, that pure consciousness, was never bound,
Right.
and therefore can never be liberated. It's always been free.
Yeah, it's like those classic metaphors like mistaking a rope for a snake in the dark, or thinking the wave is separate from the ocean.
Yeah.
When we see clearly, we realize it was always just the rope, it was always just the ocean.
Exactly.
That illusion of separation disappears.
A perfect analogy.
Right.
And this realization, this has profound implications for how we live our life.
Yeah.
When we understand that our true nature is this unbounded consciousness, we can approach everything with the sense of freedom, joy, and compassion.
Yeah, this has been incredible, this journey through the Nirvana Shatakam. We've gone from negating our most basic self-identifications to realizing, like, the vastness of our true nature. It's a lot to take in.
Yeah. It is indeed. But before we wrap up this deep dive, let's maybe shift gears a little bit and explore some of the practical implications of these teachings.
Okay, yeah.
How can we integrate this profound wisdom into our everyday lives?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've had all these mind-blowing insights.
Yeah.
But how do we actually live them? How do we bridge that gap between intellectual understanding and lived experience?
Well, one powerful practice that Shankaracharya emphasizes is self-inquiry. And it's not just about passively observing our thoughts and emotions, but actively questioning those assumptions that underlie them.
Okay, so unpack that a little bit for us.
Sure.
What does self-inquiry look like in practice? Give us a real-world example.
Okay, imagine you're stuck in traffic, and that familiar frustration starts to rise. Now, instead of getting lost in that anger, you pause and you ask yourself, who is this I that's feeling so irritated right now? Is it the Atman, that eternal, unchanging consciousness we've been exploring? Or is it the Jiva, that limited self, clinging to the idea that it should be somewhere else right now?
So it's about, like, bringing mindfulness into those everyday moments of stress.
Yes.
And using them as opportunities for deeper reflection.
Exactly.
It's like hitting the pause button on that whole emotional drama and asking, like, wait a minute, who's running the show here?
Precisely. And as we practice this self-inquiry, we begin to notice a shift. We start to see that the emotions themselves aren't the problem.
Okay.
It's our identification with them, that belief that they define who we are, that creates suffering.
That's like those waves we were talking about earlier.
Right.
The waves themselves are just part of the ocean's nature. It's only when we think we are the wave, separate and vulnerable, that we really get tossed around.
Beautifully put. And remember, the Nirvana Shatakam also emphasizes the importance of right action, or karma yoga. So it's not just about contemplation and self-inquiry. It's about embodying these insights in the way that we live and interact with the world.
Okay, so it's about bringing that same sense of detachment and non-identification into our actions.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest, I struggle with this sometimes.
Sure.
It's so easy to get caught up in the results of our actions, to get attached to the outcome. How do we actually cultivate that sense of detachment when we're in the midst of such a busy, goal-oriented life?
It's definitely a practice. It's not a one-time achievement.
Right.
But one helpful way to frame it is to think of karma yoga as offering our actions as a gift without being hung up on what we receive in return.
Oh, so it's like giving a present to a friend.
Yes.
Without expecting anything back. Just the joy of giving.
Exactly. And this shift in perspective can have a profound impact on our experience of life. We start to see challenges as opportunities for growth, relationships as mirrors reflecting back our own patterns, and every moment as a chance to embody our true nature.
This is where it all kind of clicks for me. It's not about renouncing the world or becoming some kind of, like, emotionless robot.
Right.
It's about engaging with life wholeheartedly, but from this place of deeper understanding and freedom. It's like we're still playing the game of life, but we're not so attached to winning or losing.
That's a wonderful way to put it. And that leads us to another powerful practice that can really support us on this path, and that's cultivating gratitude.
Okay.
When we appreciate the good in our lives, even the smallest things, it shifts our focus away from lack, and it opens us to that abundance that's already present.
Yeah. It's like training our minds to really see those blessings instead of just focusing on what's missing. So self-inquiry, karma yoga, gratitude, these are some pretty powerful tools we can use to really integrate the wisdom of the Nirvana Shatakam into our daily lives. Any other parting words of wisdom as our listeners kind of embark on their own journey of self-discovery?
Just remember that the path to self-realization isn't a linear one. There'll be moments of clarity and there'll be moments of confusion. There will be times of ease and there will be times of challenge. Be patient with yourself, trust the process, and remember that that truth of your being is always present, waiting to be unveiled.
Beautifully said. And to add to that, remember that the Nirvana Shatakam is a resource you can return to again and again.
Absolutely.
Each time you revisit these verses, you might uncover a new layer of meaning, a new insight that resonates with you and your current experience. It's a gift that keeps on giving.
Couldn't agree more.
So to all our listeners out there, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. And as you journey towards that self-realization, remember you're not alone. We're all in this together, connected by that same spark of pure consciousness bliss that Shankaracharya so beautifully reveals in the Nirvana Shatakam. Until next time, happy learning.
And as always, keep seeking.